That's the best thumbnail ever.
That's your fault.
You're like, we never do that.
We don't.
Whatever.
Whatever.
Hold up.
Yeah, you have to have the Emmy in the shot.
Yeah, I'm flexing on camera. What do you want? All right. So, Jamie, Carrie Ann, you heard the story about how I came out to you.
Yes.
I
did hear that story.
Yep. Yes, you did hear that story. But everyone heard that story, right?
I told you we never do that.
We don't do that. In the first episode in Kyle's Trend Story podcast, right?
Yes.
But no one has actually heard that story from you. Also, hello, Kathra. Kathra. And yes, we're live. But no one's heard that story from you.
Yeah, but it's the same story.
I know it's the same story, but you are a better storyteller. You might add some flair, and you can maybe go, like, talk to what went through your head at the time. Because so tell the story, and then I'll ask some questions.
Okay, so then you'll ask some questions.
Yes, or
somebody else.
Kathra.
Mm-hmm. We'll get that right.
I continue to be terrible at usernames.
That's not a surprise.
I know.
Okay. Well, where did you start in your story? Do you know?
Kathra.
Perfect.
You start from the beginning. So
start from the beginning.
Start from the beginning. So, like, what's the beginning?
We met in high school.
Go ahead.
Actually, no.
Do you want to know? You want to tell that story?
No,
like, I don't know how many people know it.
That's too far. Fine. Fine. We met in high school. We ran in similar circles.
Were we high school sweethearts?
No. You were in band. Who's telling the story?
I'm asking questions. I told you I'd ask questions.
You were in band and I was in choir, and the music department was like in a similar area. You were involved in theater. You
dated the band.
I dated the band. Well, those guys were way more interesting than the choir guys. Anyway, you did lights and sound for the musical. Yeah, and I got involved in hair and makeup because I wasn't a good enough actress to be on stage, is really what it comes down to. So we were always in a similar area, but we didn't really cross paths a whole lot.
Yep.
Until my mother became security at the high school my senior year, your junior year.
Mm-hmm.
And you kept running into each other in the hallway.
Yep.
And so my mother suggested that we date, or at least I talked to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay,
Why?
I'll try. And
but
so
he's a nerd.
Right. And so I would try to talk to you. I tried.
Mm-hmm.
I tried. It was a sincere effort. I'd read one time that, like, if you want someone to talk to you, that you should ask them about something that they are interested in. So the cliche classic high school example there is, if you are interested in a football player, then you ask him about football because he likes football. Obviously, he's a football player. So you did a lot of technology things that I did not understand. And when I asked you about it, I still didn't understand it. So that was great. And so I just figured that you didn't like me at all.
I took the time to answer your questions, which most people I wouldn't even take the time to do.
Which I didn't know. It just, the thing is
I
that
didn't know how to answer them in English, and so I just answered them in techie.
It was so difficult.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we didn't date in high school.
Nope.
For a number of different reasons, but that was one of them. And then 4 years after I graduated, 3 years after you graduated,
mm-hmm.
The high school had a brand new theater, and so I was still doing hair and makeup with the theater as like a side gig, and you had an incredibly difficult week, and so you showed up at the theater, mm-hmm. and we reconnected, and rest of that is history. Like, we were engaged about 6 months later,
mm-hmm.
and then we were married a year after that.
Where?
At Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
And in the year 2001, or 2001, as it were. So that's the short version of the story. Right?
Yeah, that's a good version.
Thanks.
So we've been married nearly 19 years now.
Yes.
I mean, we're coming up on 19
years this year.
Yep, exactly. In what month is it now?
It's March right
so
now.
like 3 more months. It'll be
Yeah.
19 years.
Yep.
And did you have any inkling?
No. So that's my Minnesotan coming
I was
out.
just gonna say that. No.
I know.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
No, but it's difficult to describe. So the thing is that day in particular, so we both work at the same place, and we work at different times for various reasons. And so we have 2 vehicles, and so we drove separately as we always do.
But I mean, even prior to that day, did you have any inkling?
No.
None?
No.
Okay, so we drove separately. Yep.
We drove separately, and for some reason you insisted on driving home together.
Yep.
Was it a Friday?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I remember
everything else was so much more important, honestly. So like, I'm pretty sure it was a Friday, because the idea was like, you were like, no problem, we'll just get the car over the weekend. And I was like, cool, but like, why are we driving home together? And I didn't ask the question.
I came up with some lame excuse, and I had been trying to tell you.
Which I didn't know.
Of course not. Like, how would you know? But I had been trying to tell you for the better part of the week.
Yeah.
And at home, and then even at work, like we would have lunch from time to time. Aw, we have lunch together. Isn't that sweet?
I mean, sometimes.
Well, we used to have it more, and I was getting busier.
Yeah, neither one of us have time.
So we were at lunch, and I was so close.
Yeah.
I was so close. And then I'm like, this is the wrong, like, we're surrounded by people.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're going to react. I have no idea. Like, it's terrifying. I am terrified. I'm absolutely terrified.
I feel bad about that you would be terrified to tell me something like this.
It's not you, it's me. Like,
yeah, but still,
like
that I haven't created a safe enough space for you.
No, that's not it at all. It's, how do you tell someone that you're in breach of contract? How do you tell someone something so deep and personal? How do you tell someone?
I mean, hindsight 2020, like
this
whatever.
Baggage that you've been carrying with you for 20 years that you've literally not told another soul.
Right.
I don't think there's any scenario that you can create where I would have felt comfortable.
Sure. I still feel bad about that. Anyway, so you convinced me to drive home together.
Yes.
For whatever reason. And I obviously didn't know what was happening. So the thing is that we work in LA County and we live in Orange County. And for those of you who are not familiar, Los Angeles is known for being some of the worst traffic in the United States, for sure. There is little to no public transportation, and what there is that exists, it's terrible all the way around. Not that like it's not good or like it's really old, but like no, really, like it doesn't even connect to itself half the time. Like
it's true.
There are times where you can take the regular rail train and then you have to get off at a stop and then take a bus to the metro line.
Yep.
It just doesn't make any sense. Like, you would think that the train and the metro would cross paths somehow, and they don't. They do at a bus stop. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So driving in LA is just not fun in any way, shape, or form. And it's not mapped out well. There are hardly any road is straight, really. Everything is basically a bridge. And so you're constantly crisscrossing over all of this stuff. And when it's good, you're going 30 miles an hour. And when it's bad, you're going 0 miles an hour. It's nothing. So in any case, so we're driving and
well, we get in the car first. And then when we first sat down, I chickened out again.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to do it in the parking lot when we first sat down and like do it there. But then I realized.
Actually, now that you say that, I do recall something.
There was this weird awkward pause.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what that was.
That's funny.
And I realized I don't know how to start without making it sound like we're separating.
Right.
Like, how do you start?
You still didn't do a good job with that.
I know. But we need to talk.
Right. And to be very clear, as I hope you don't mind me saying all of the things, there have been times when I have been sat down and told, we need to have a discussion.
Those usually are not good times.
Those are usually not good times.
No,
We very rarely fight. We often,
not anymore.
I don't say often, but like we will bicker a little bit at each other.
Well, hold up. There's the play bickering, the not real bickering.
No, but there's
But then there's
there's
real
some
bickering.
real bickering
Yeah,
every
yeah,
once
yeah.
in a while.
I
Like,
mean, we're two independent humans. It happens.
I mean, I'm mostly codependent, but yeah. But we very rarely. I can probably count on one hand how many times we've had a big bad fight.
I think you're right, and I think you would have fingers left over. I think you'd have
Many
digits left
fingers,
over.
yeah.
Mhm.
Because I can
We
only
had
think
one,
of two off the top of my
Mall
head.
America
Yep,
and dishes.
that was dishes. Yeah,
And what's
that's
the
what we
other
were
one?
fighting about. The last time it was the Christmas party and we were coming home.
Ah, yes, that was a bad one.
That was a bad one.
That one was worse.
That one was a way worse.
That was a bad one.
But,
Okay, yeah.
So two we
in
had,
in nearly 19 years, two.
yeah. Well, at the time, 18 years, but still, so those words are they're just not good
They're not good.
words. It doesn't matter what.
I don't think I started that way, but I was trying to figure out
No,
like
you did. So my point is that we got in the car and we were driving and we were on a cloverleaf. Yes.
okay,
Well, it wasn't technically cloverleaf because we
No,
were going
it was-
around this way.
right, but you were merging.
We were merging,
Mhm.
and we're effectively on a bridge, merging with traffic around a turn
in LA traffic
in LA traffic.
with people who can't drive.
Nobody can drive,
900 lanes. She's trying to merge,
and like
this
is the time
is when I get the confidence.
when Jamie decides,
Uh-huh.
because I imagine that you've been working it up,
Oh yeah,
like not just since lunch, but I mean obviously for weeks at that point, but then like since lunch, and you're like, okay, I have a plan, like we're gonna get in the car and then I'm gonna
Mhm.
do it, and then you didn't do it,
hmm
and then like I don't know.
No. So I think what happened in my head at that point was, so yeah, we got in the car and I
It must
didn't
have
do
been
it.
an now or never kind of thing.
Yeah, we got in the car and we didn't do it, and then I was kicking myself for not doing it. Then I'm like, okay, well, I can do it when we get home, and then it was like, but like, no,
You would have been so distracted the whole way home. It would
yeah,
have been terrible.
It would have been
I
terrible.
would have already thought you were mad at me.
yeah.
And then I would have had to ask about whether or not you were mad at me. And then you would have like very much, oh, it was terrible.
So I basically I was in this mindset of like, I need to do this.
Yeah.
Like I have to tell you.
Yeah.
I can't keep this a secret.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, and whatever happens, happens. And so then I just kind of like, I don't even remember. I think it just kind of.
No. You said something along the lines of like, so we need to talk.
But I didn't say that. But
It was
because I very specifically didn't say that. But
Right.
it's basically that. Like after the fact, I went.
it wasn't I need to tell you something though.
Anyhow, yeah, I used some bad phraseology.
It was something like that.
Mhm.
And what's the first thing I said to you? What's the very first thing that came out of my mouth?
Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the very next thing you said was.
Well, no, I waited for you to answer.
I said yes. And then the very next thing is, are we okay?
Yes.
I said yes.
Right?
Yep.
And then I might have even proceeded into like,
You visibly like both relaxed and tensed up at the same time.
well, because I don't
after that second one.
know what else that it could
'cause-
be then.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Mhm.
Sort of like, okay, well, if you need to talk to me about something and it's serious, because that's definitely the tone that you had,
Well, it was.
and you are okay, and we are okay, then the only other thing that could possibly be wrong is like there's like a death in the family. There's a divorce in the family, like something that's not us, but like something that would directly affect us. Like
Well, that was the challenge, is trying to figure out how to start
this is what happened. The way I found out about my grandfather's death was relatively offhand, and it bothered me a lot. It affected me very deeply, and it clearly still does. So that was the
Mm.
because you were usually more during work hours, you're usually more available. So the thought that went through my head sincerely was that somebody had died, like that a close family member of mine died and they couldn't get a hold of me or didn't know how to. I don't know, but like it's like that lizard brain,
Yeah.
right? And so it was like that you knew this information and you had to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like that. Does that make sense?
It does.
I'm fine.
I was gonna get you.
I'm fine.
Okay. Didn't mean to make you cry. I'm sorry.
No, but that's why
Mm-hmm.
I was reacting like that
No.
before you told me.
Yeah, and again, like first person I told other than me.
Right.
So I was trying to figure out how to say this.
Well, I think that
Also, by the way, it was scary to actually say it out loud
I
to
can
someone
imagine.
else for
Yeah.
the first time.
yeah.
Because I had said it to myself, and
Yeah.
I'd said it out loud to myself, because like that's how I work. That's how my brain works.
Yeah.
But it's different.
Yeah.
It's very different.
I can only imagine. So then
It's freaking terrifying.
so okay. So are you okay? Yes. Are we okay?
Yes.
Yes. And then it was sort of a holding breath moment of like, well, just
Yeah.
tell me
now,
what it is then.
now I'm in this moment of like,
It's now or never. Like you have to tell
Yeah,
me. You have
yeah.
to tell me something at least.
as Catherine says, is like prepping for an emotional tsunami.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so now I'm committed, right?
Yes.
Now I'm like, well, I gotta keep going.
Which because you have to tell me something.
I have to tell her something.
And if you don't tell me anything, I'm going to be mad because of all the terrible scenarios that are running through my head.
I think at that point, I think I said something really simple of like, I was born the wrong gender.
Yep.
I think that was it.
Yeah,
That's all I
that was-
said.
Yeah.
And I think
And it took me a second to process because I was expecting like, I got a phone call and your mother died today.
Right.
You know? So,
So
because
much-
it was such a completely different thing than that. It was like, wait, what'd you say? So there was a second's worth of, oh, I don't even know what you just said to me. And then like, once that sunk in, then, and this is why you were asking me, I think, if I ever had an inkling, the only thing I can akin it to, and it's a very, very bad analogy. It's not even remotely close to being right, but it's the closest thing that I have as an example, is that if you ever watch, sometimes there's romantic comedy movies. Sometimes it happens in TV shows as well, where there's like a small-ish group of friends, 5 or 6 kind of thing, and there's one person who's very clearly gay. They're very stereotypically gay. And so you as the viewer know that they are gay, but for some reason they themselves internally are unaware. And finally, throughout the course of the movie, the TV show, whatever, they figure it out and they come out to their friends and all their friends are like, oh, sweetie, like they already knew. And they already knew and loved this character and it wasn't a big deal. And like, not that they don't care, but like, it doesn't change how they feel about them in any way, shape or form. It's the only thing I can have to that, because it's not like I was ever questioning anything. It's not like there was ever a moment's worth of like, well, why don't they like football? Like I never
don't like football.
Well, I'm also not a big football fan, but like it didn't. There was never anything in the back of my head ever. However, as soon as you said it and I understood it, it like clicked. Like everything just suddenly fell into place. Like finally getting that Rubik's Cube just go that one last turn. Like whatever, like however, whatever analogy you want, but like a lot of things made a lot more sense.
That's how I felt actually.
And
once I figured it out, it was like, oh, I understand. I'd spent decades not understanding, purposely, mind you.
yeah,
And then it just kind of like locked into place. And then I was pissed.
right.
And I was like, put that back.
Right.
I don't want this. But I couldn't unlock it.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So, but yeah, that's how I felt too.
Yeah. So,
Not everyone felt that way.
which to a certain extent was kind of a relief because again, I was expecting to hear.
Yeah.
I was expecting to hear something bad, and that in my mind wasn't bad. It wasn't like, oh well, compared to something like death, it's not that bad. Like no, it just was like, oh, well now what do we do?
Yeah. And so you said those words. And what you didn't know, and what I hadn't told her yet.
Because like legitimately, it was like, "Are you okay? Yes. Are we okay? Yes." You told me what it was, and then that was the next thing out of my mouth was, "Well, what do we do now?" Because I know you, and you are ever a researcher. Like you don't even buy a GoPro without doing research. So
She said GoPro because there's one right here.
yeah, I had to point to something. you research everything. You research all of the things all of the time. Anything that you have an interest in, you research. So I'm not dumb enough to think that you hadn't researched this. And I don't know anything about this. Like if you're finally coming to me with anything, hey, I finally want to buy a cat. I know the cat. I found the breeder. Like,
can I buy a cat?
right. That's how those conversations go,
Yeah.
as opposed to like, oh, I kind of want a cat. Like, okay, cool, me too. Now what? Like you don't come to me with anything like that without having done research. So I knew you'd already done research, and I know nothing of this topic in any way, shape, or form. So I had to look to you for guidance. So what do we do now?
I think, and it was the way you worded it, and it wasn't exactly like that. It was very close to that. What you didn't know is that in that moment in time, and I think where I might be a little bit different or unique is that I wasn't unhappy as Ben, and I wasn't unhappy as a male. I wasn't depressed, right? You wouldn't classify me as depressed, right? Certainly not anything negative, right? I'm ever the optimist, right? That's a fairly good. So positive tomorrow. That's my shtick. So I hadn't decided that I was going to do anything. So you're my partner, right? And I thought this was really important information. I thought you should know how I felt, but that didn't mean I needed to do anything. Like,
yeah, which is funny to me, really.
Well,
I've heard you say that a lot of times, but like that just seems almost odd.
But again, I wasn't unhappy, so I would.
I know, but
and had I chosen,
again, you do the research and then you make a plan. Like that's your MO.
I had a couple well, hold up. No, I create multiple plans.
Yeah,
I have an
yes.
A, B, and C option.
I know,
And if things
always.
go off the rail, exactly.
I know,
So I had an
always.
A, B, and C option.
Well,
so,
I just figured like whatever your A option is, obviously the one you want to do. So like
Yeah.
that effectively was the question. Like,
actually,
what is the A plan here?
What's interesting is I'm not sure I knew what I wanted to do. I don't know
I
that
think
I had.
that's the difference.
I don't think I had actually decided. So because here I am, I'm over 40 years old. At the time, I'm 41 years old. Not quite half my life is passed me by.
I don't know. We could curse wheel this stuff.
So I'm sitting there going, well, I have an inkling of how hard and challenging this will be, and how physically demanding this will be. How all of the things, right? And like, and then I got to tell everyone, and I'm going to be awkward for years.
You were already awkward for years.
Awkward-er for years.
I mean, it's not necessarily awkwarder. It's a different kind of awkward.
No, it's like both a different kind of awkward and the original awkward rolled into one right now. So it's just like all of the awkward. Anyhow, so I really didn't know. I truly, at that moment in time, did not actually know what I wanted to do. There was only an A and a B plan, which was and it wasn't even A and B. It was like plan of just continue along, right? Just keep doing what I had been doing. I was happy before. I'll continue to be happy. Now you know my deep, dark secret. End story. Or transition. Go through multiple years of hardcore awkwardness, lots of painful horribleness, fighting insurance companies, spending lots and lots of money for a big unknown. Would I be more happy on the other side of that? Would I be less happy on the other side of that? What would that entail? I had no idea at the time. I have a lot more answers now.
Yeah.
Those answers actually came a lot faster than I thought they would.
Yeah.
Like way fast, within weeks.
Yeah.
And it was that moment in time where you like it was serious. It was 50-50. I was completely split, coin toss, did not know. And your reaction of like, well, okay, how do you move forward is what flipped that switch over to, oh no, I'm going to transition. And all of the doubt of like, maybe I shouldn't do anything immediately left my mind. And I have not looked back since.
Yeah.
There was never a moment since that was the defining moment for me where it was like, oh, this is going to be a thing.
Yeah.
And then it was full force ahead. And
I can't imagine it any other way.
I can't imagine it another way.
No, I get it, but like I think if you had said the words to me like I don't know, or I'm not sure if I want to transition, I'd be like, but why?
Yeah, you probably would have.
Because
I mean, you were still processing a lot, but you were
Sure,
super supportive. Like it
but
was.
why is I think a really fair question.
Yep. Ika says those hormones are magical. You know, it was even before the hormones. It was so that was the defining moment, right? And
Yeah.
again, sorry, I'm just like constantly adjusting. I've got a compressed nerve in my shoulder, and then I'm tattoo removal, so everything's like itching, and I just can't get comfortable. And I feel frumpy in this shirt for some reason.
No, it's cute.
So I lost my place. So even before the hormones started,
Yeah.
like I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're gonna do this quickly. And so, like the next day, I want to say, maybe the day after, I made an appointment to go to a doctor's office for HRT, hormone replacement therapy, and I can't remember the last time I've been that nervous. Right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know, right? Because you see, I knew that California was really good about this stuff, but you see all of these things of needing to go into like a year-long waiting pattern and needing to have like all of these different signatures and people signing off on it before you can even begin hormone replacement therapy. And that's just the start of the process. And so I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, how long is this going to take? How long is this going to take? And you know, those were the moments of like, you know, in the car, that was kind of the switch got flipped. And then this was kind of I clearly very badly want this, and I didn't even know it at the time. Which is to your point of like, I can't imagine it any other way.
Yeah.
That was it was right. It was between the car ride and before I got those pills where I fully realized like, oh, this is something I very badly have desired for 20 years and have done nothing about. And now that I'm on the cusp of it, I really don't want to wait. I very distinctly, in fact, it was right here. I was sitting almost exactly in this spot, right at the end of the table with, I think it wasn't with a bubbly. I think it might've been with a Coke.
Probably.
That was part of the diet. I was literally sitting like right here, and I remember taking the first pills, and it was so uplifting and elating. Like I mean, I know that it didn't do it. Those first pills don't like suddenly magically transfer,
Right.
but like I felt like this was the beginning, and it was just this moment, and it was great. Like I was happy before. I am so much happier now.
Yeah.
There
was a coworker speaking with me about it today.
Today?
Yeah, today. About how like she goes, I don't know if you believe in this sort of thing, but like even like Jamie's aura is just different. That your whole being is different.
My whole being is different.
You have opened up, you have lightened up, you are just brighter, generally speaking, but like you are more open to speaking with people and strangers and and just general conversing. And
I smile.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she described Ben as being like a robot.
I think Ben was standoffish.
Quite.
But not intentionally. Like Ben was I was always in my head. I'm still in my head a lot, but now I'm just a little more, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think those are the right words though. I'm lighter, I'm brighter, I'm more willing to I'm more willing to go out and like, and you know what I think it was is like, I didn't like me before, not as a person, but like, I didn't like, this wasn't right.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to share that with the world because it was wrong. And I knew it was wrong. And so I wasn't ashamed. I just didn't like it. So I didn't take care of it. Right. I didn't have the energy. And now that things are starting to kind of slide into place, like I'm more excited to go out and have fun. I'm not all the way there yet, but you know, not all the way there yet. So yeah. Yeah, no longer need to act the part of being a male. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I've learned a lot about like society and gender roles and like how messed up a lot of that stuff is.
Mhm.
It's messed up.
Mhm.
Like it's weird for both sides, by the
Oh,
way,
yeah,
for
yeah.
both men and women. It is really screwed up. And like it took this, I think, for me to really see it. So yeah, there were a couple of things. It's a testament that we're a team, a couple. Yeah, we are a team. We're a really powerful, good team. Like I think, like we're like again, we don't fight very often. We play fight all the time. Those are fun though, just to get a reaction out of people.
I usually win.
I have to let you win.
You don't have to.
Well, no, I don't. You're just that much better at it than I am.
I usually win.
Yeah,
Pretty sure those are the words I use. Thanks.
So yeah, that was that. Any surprises in transition that you hadn't expected?
I mean, without knowing anything, it's hard to have any expectations,
Sure.
right? Like,
I'm not the first pills I took April 2nd,
Mhm.
2018 at about 5:30 p.m. Pacific time
Mhm.
or so. Not that I was counting. I know it was a big moment for me. Like I remember it vividly.
Yeah.
So I'm not even a year into it now. I'm almost a year. What? I'm 11 months. I'm over 11 months. Yeah.
It's March.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm coming up on a year.
Yep.
But like not even a year yet.
Mhm.
So anything, is there any other transition data that you have that you think is interesting?
That's a good question. I don't know. Like, it's all been really interesting, though.
Hmm.
Like, the science is
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like the electrolysis versus laser.
Mm-hmm.
Like because I was originally going to zap all of my hair with laser,
Mhm.
right? Just do a laser hair removal and be like, cool. And they're all like, that's not permanent. And like, want my beard gone pretty badly.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll do electrolysis. And the first electrolysis I did, because I just didn't know, was actually thermolysis, which is different, but they classify it as electrolysis, even though there's no actual electrolysis occurring. Hard eye roll. It has don't do thermolysis. The takeaway from what I'm saying right now is don't do thermolysis. If you're doing thermolysis, stop immediately. It is not as effective and it can damage your skin permanently. Don't do it. So I started with that and I did a couple of sessions and I was like, this is going to take forever. I need something faster. And so I found a place in Chicago. I've only found two places. One was in Chicago and one was in Austin, I think it was, that did bulk electrolysis. And I was like, okay. And they put you under, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Like they put you in twilight. Sorry, I'm still trying to work the knot. They put you in twilight, which isn't all the way under, but and I was like, okay, well then, like they've got a couple of technicians working on your face all at the same time. And so that you get twice the amount done and they do like 8 to 12 hours all at once. So it's like 20 something hours in one day. It's 8 hours. So we'll just say it's 8 hours with two technicians. So it's 16 hours worth of work at one day. I was like, okay, this sounds good. And I was pricing it out and like the cost of travel and then the cost of hotel.
Before coronavirus.
But yeah, exactly. Before all of that. It's like really freaking expensive because I'm a princess and I like to travel nice. And then like the cost of the procedure itself was really expensive. I'm like, ugh. I'm in California. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm in Orange County. I'm right next to Los Angeles, right next to like Beverly Hills. There has to be something here. At the time, there wasn't. There literally wasn't. And so,
which, yeah, you're right. Like that's really
weird.
Crazy
It's
to
weird.
think about.
Yeah. So
Hollywood is
right?
known for this sort of thing. Like I can't.
So I did find someone new. And I went to her, and I found her because they did 32 needles at once.
Mhm.
And I at the time, I hadn't apparently done enough research on electrolysis because I didn't fully understand or comprehend the difference between thermolysis, galvanic, and blend.
Mhm.
I had only ever really understood thermolysis and blend.
Mm.
And she did galvanic. And galvanic is the oldest version of electrolysis.
Mhm.
It is the longest version of electrolysis.
Mhm.
It is the most painful version of electrolysis.
These all sound like selling points to
And
me.
it
I
is
don't
the
know about
most
you.
efficient version of electrolysis with an 80% kill rate.
Yeah.
And it doesn't damage your skin. Yep.
Yeah.
And I was like, fine. Because normally they stick the needle in and they zap it for like 10 seconds and then they pull it out. That would be like
Mhm.
blend.
Mhm.
And then thermolysis, they only do like a couple.
Mhm.
With galvanic, they stick the needle in and they zap it for 5 to 10 minutes per hair. But they do 32 hairs at a time.
Mhm.
So 32 over here, 32 over here. Well, at first it was 32 over here, and they gave me like a topical. And man,
Yeah, that
imagine 32 needles in your face with electricity flowing through it. Like my face would swell up, and I was okay for the first hour. Like it hurt, but like
said that Catherine says like
sign me up.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, Jim says, wow, the time involved. Yeah, I have been doing electrolysis nearly from the beginning, right? I found her pretty quickly. So I'm about 9 months into electrolysis, I want to say. And I have another 6 to 9 months to go. And I'm pretty faithful in my appointments, going as often as they allow me to go. And it used to be weekly. So I used to go every Friday. And I chose Fridays because your face swells up something fierce. Normally I would show you pictures, but because we don't have 1,000 subscribers yet, I can't, because I can't use my normal broadcasting software. But my face swells up a lot.
Yeah.
Like it looks like I got in a fight and lost, kind of swelling up. And so and then it takes 48 to 72 hours for it to kind of go back down to normal. So I do it on Fridays, so I could kind of like lock myself at home on the weekends.
Yeah.
Right? You remember there's a bunch of time on tomorrow where I just was gone. That's because my face was swollen, filled with little dots absolutely everywhere.
It's really bad sometimes.
So I used to do that every week.
Yes.
And I did 4-hour sessions once a week.
Yep.
And then I kept talking to her about, I'm like, look, there are these places and they do, they put you into twilight. They do lidocaine injections. She's like, yeah, but like, it doesn't quite work right. Blah, blah. Lo and behold, they figured out how to do it here, like because it's a slightly different process. And so now I go once a month, not once a week. I'm gone for the entire day.
Yeah.
Like you drive me in, we leave here at 6:30 in the morning, and you pick me up at 4:30.
Yeah, 4:30. Yeah.
Yep. We get home like at 6:30 at night. So that's a 12-hour day of electrolysis. Well, I mean, it's someone's drive time. And that is much like the other stuff. It's 2 technicians with 32 needles in each side. So 64 total needles on either side of my face. I go into twilight. So I'm like in and out of consciousness, but not like fully knocked out. This last session was the worst because of the compressed nerve. It prevented me from ever actually going unconscious. Yeah, that sucked. And they did what they could, but like, you can only do so much. It hurts so much. And I'm constantly like moving and like pulling needles out. And they're like, stop squirming. I'm like, I can't. If you've ever had a compressed nerve, you'll understand. A pinch nerve is the other terminology. So Catherine says, I had no idea this process was so involved and time consuming.
It's crazy.
Right. So now I do it once per month. I can't go more. They will not allow me to do more than 1 session per month because it is insanely invasive. So they put me into twilight. The very first thing they do, which is terrible, but I appreciate it, is they take a needle about yay long, they stick it in, and they start sweeping around, injecting me with lidocaine. And so they are numbing my face. Actually, the very first thing they do is they numb underneath like they do in the engine under here, and then they come in from underneath. They let that numb, and then they go in from the side. And there are it's healed pretty well. But I actually had a pretty nasty bruise down here from the lidocaine injection itself. The nice thing about the lidocaine is that because I'm going in and out of consciousness,
Mhm.
I can't feel these 64 needles poking my face and
Yeah.
electrocuting me all day long. And so I last all day long
Mhm.
just fine. I'm perfectly content to sit there.
Until it starts to wear off.
Well, and it doesn't wear off, to be fair, it doesn't wear off until I'm coming home.
Yep. That's when I get her.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Yeah, it's
So
not
good.
great. And then it starts to wear off.
Oh.
It's not great. It's not great. And the very first thing I have to do, so I can't, other things that suck as a transgender woman, because you don't want to have facial hair, but in order for electrolysis to work, they have to have something to grab onto,
Right.
because they stick the needle in, one per hair, they electrocute the hair for 5 to 10 minutes, and then they grab onto the hair and they rip it out.
Mm-hmm.
Then they move to the next one, rinse and repeat over and over and over again, which means they need something they can grab onto, which means I need to grow out my beard. That's great. That's fun. That's why I don't really wear makeup at all, because I don't want to get used to that. I don't want to get comfortable with any of that prior to losing my beard, because I have to once a month for about a week prior to the appointment start growing out my beard, which happened at Walt Disney World, which was also friggin' fantastic. So then they do that, and they don't get all of it, like they can't. It's just too much hair. And so they do that, they do the session, and then I go home, and the very first thing I need to do is I have to shave, because if I don't shave right away before it starts to heal and scab over, I can't shave for another week.
Oh my goodness, it's so terrible. It's really terrible. I would not recommend. Unless you absolutely have to.
So Catherine says you had pins sticking out of your face like Hellraiser. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Electrolysis is crazy.
Yeah.
It is a form of torture, but
it must be.
But it's so it's amazing, because when I don't get in on time, or when there's a slight delay, it drives me bonkers, because then I'm not making forward progress, and I hate that. I absolutely hate that. It's awful. The other thing that's awful is hair grows in waves, and a male beard is pretty thick. For every square inch, there can be up to 1,000 hair follicles that they have to kill for every square inch. So they have to, for every square inch, go in 1,000 times essentially and kill it all. That takes a hot minute. And so, especially at first, you just don't see any change.
Yeah.
Right? So I'd be in there, I'd do 4 hours of just awfulness.
Mm-hmm.
I get back out, and it did not look, other than my face had swollen up, beard looked the same.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I was just like, I know they're doing stuff, but this is terrible. And it wasn't until this last session, I would say, where I really am starting to see rapid gains. They worked on the upper lip and this cheek over here pretty much exclusively. So like this part, actually not even that far, like this and this. They haven't done as much work here, so they still have a little bit more to do here. But this is coming along nicely. Like, I was actually a little bit excited when I had because again, you get home, I shave really quick, and then I can't shave for another week. So it grows back out, and then when I'm able to shave again, I can see what the progress is. And this is the first time I saw, I see there are like onesie, twosies hairs left.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. I've not seen that before. It was always like a bunch. And so then I started looking closer in my upper lip, and I'm like, oh, like it won't be this next session, but the one after that, it's going to be pretty far gone. And this will be at the same state as this, which means this, and this, they're going to be pretty far gone. So then all I have left is like this and this. And the nice thing is the density here is much lower than the density up in here. Like this was really high density. This is extremely high density, extremely high density. So they've been tackling this and this for a while. Like I may only have 6 to 9 sessions left.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not true either, because you do have regrowth, so I got to go back.
Yeah, but
so yeah, the torture we go through, it is, and that's just I could go into facial feminization surgery, but like that's a whole big thing. Yeah. Sign me up. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that doesn't include laser tattoo removal.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's fun.
How was it? So I have some test articles of clothing that I wear to see like how it's going to hit me, and like 'cause I don't know. I've only ever worn men's clothing
Right,
throughout my life.
right.
So I got I have a couple test dresses. I have some. I don't really have any heels. I have some wedges, but no heels
Right.
because I don't think I can walk in a heel.
I mean, you can.
Do I have any skirts? I don't think I have any skirts.
No, just dresses.
Just dresses. I don't think I have too much else. Was that weird the first time I was in a dress?
Well,
You're allowed to say yes, by the way. Like it is allowed to be
I know.
weird.
No, I know. I think only because the dresses that we got, it was still relatively early on.
Mm.
And so like boobs were like
Not really there.
kind of going in, but not really. And you had lost a lot of weight, so that was helpful. But you still sort of looked like Ben in a dress.
Oh yeah. Do I still look like Ben in a dress?
No, I don't think you
Really?
do. Yeah.
When was that threshold?
I don't know, but like it's gotten markedly better. But yeah, the first couple of
cheeks?
times were a little difficult isn't the word. It's just
Different, weird, unexpected.
Weird is not right either. I mean, it's just different. It's just different.
Catherine asked, does a process, this is back to electrolysis, guarantee the death of the follicle? No guarantees.
Ever.
Nope. So galvanic is nice because it's a DC current. So they stick in the needle, and the reason it takes so long is it is literally electrolysis. It's breaking the base elements apart. And when you do that with whatever's in your skin and your blood and everything else, it creates lye. And it's actually that lye that is killing the hair.
It like
permanently. Eats away at it, so it's gone. And they don't have to be super accurate with that. They can kind of like get it really close. And as long as you've got enough lye to eat away at it, as long as they have a high enough setting, which hurts, right? That's where the lidocaine really helps. And they keep it in long enough. I figured out. This will make sense in a moment. So they stick all the needles in your face, but then also there are diodes that you have to put, and it has to make contact with your skin. And so they stick it right about, The thing is, it's electrical current traveling all the way through your body. And so when they turn it up, the reason she just made that face is because we were trying to figure out why I had a blister on my lower back. I'm like, what in the world?
Like, what did you back into? What were you doing?
I had diodes on my lower back that were passing electricity through it, and it was passing so much electricity, it actually caused my skin to blister on my lower back. Neat, huh?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that is galvanic. That's the process of galvanic. Thermolysis. That galvanic is the original version of electrolysis. It was developed in the 1800s, I think it was. It was a long time ago, and it used to be like one needle at a time. It was just kind of like, spot hairs. The next technology that was generally created was thermolysis, although they call it electrolysis. And thermolysis is basically what it sounds like, which is where you use heat. So you stick the needle in and you zap it with AC current so alternating current instead of direct current, and it overheats the hair, and it damages it so severely that it can't grow back. Star. How is that different than laser, you ask me? I don't actually know. They're basically fundamentally the same core technology. You're just going about it a different way. So I would argue that if you're going to do thermolysis as opposed to actual electrolysis, just do laser. Like, you can do laser way faster. It's way less painful. It's way less expensive. And I think it's going to be about just as effective. Thermolysis is not it's less than 50% effective. In fact, it's so ineffective, I can't find a real number on how effective it is. They won't publish it. Yeah.
That's cool.
So, and a lot of transgender women do thermolysis and don't even realize it. And the other downside of this is because it's so much heat zapping through your skin, the glue that essentially bonds your skin together can get damaged, and that can actually create like these holes, which is going to create pitting in your skin. That pitting can be permanent. So then, after you've done your thermolysis, you have to go back And to get rid of that pitting, you have to do it's microablation or
Microdermabrasion?
yeah, whatever that is, where they roll the needles over to
Oh,
damage your skin again to force it to heal.
Right.
And you just have to hope that you can force those holes to close back up.
Microbleeding?
Sometimes, yeah, whatever that's called. Sometimes you can. Sometimes you legitimately can
Mhm.
do that. But again, another painful procedure that you got to do. That's not fun,
Yeah.
right? And then the third technology is called blend, and it is literally a blend of the first two. It is a blend of and it sounds like it would be the best of both worlds, right? Because thermolysis is only a few seconds per hair,
Right.
right? Galvanic is like 5 minutes per hair.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna get a water.
So you would expect blend to be great, right? Because it's only like 10 seconds per hair, and you get it is creating electrolysis because it's AC and DC current, except that it's so quick that the lye the hair doesn't really get to sit in the lye, and you're still zapping it with the current, so you're not actually killing it like as effectively, and you can still damage the skin. You can still get the pitting in the skin. However, that seems to have around a 60 to 70% kill rate. So that's not bad. Whereas galvanic is closer to 80, 90% kill rate, which is I'll take 80, 90%, and no permanent damage to the skin.
Yeah.
Star, like they can always turn it way too far up and like literally burn your skin. But yeah, I have orange. Microdermabrasion. Abrasion, whatever. Okay. So we went back to electrolysis, and I meant to move on. This is how I replaced soda with bubbly, effectively.
Oh, now I'm burpy. Sorry.
We talked about me in a dress.
Mm-hmm.
I know the voice was weird.
The voice was hard
because I started doing voice training pretty early on, and you're like, "You did? This doesn't sound right." And I check in with you often.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "How are you doing?" And you're like, "Voice, not so much not so great with the voice."
Well, because it was difficult that there was still a lot of Ben left, and then there was this like voice. I don't know what Jamie sounds like. I don't know what Jamie's supposed to sound like. All I know is that you're doing the worst like
falsetto.
No, but I mean it was like the worst like Amy Poehler impression I've ever heard, or like I don't know how to compare it to anything because I don't know what Jamie sounds like. I don't know what Jamie's supposed to sound like.
Still don't know what Jamie sounds like.
Sure.
So I actually halted voice training until fairly recently. I'm only like 3 sessions into my voice training again. I have basically started over from scratch. And my voice therapist would be very sad at me because I've realized that my voice is down here right now and it's supposed to be up here. But yeah.
You're supposed to E.
I'm supposed to E. I am doing well with the tongue. Like that's become habit.
You're supposed to E everything.
Eify, yeah.
Eify, that's
yeah.
What
So,
it is.
So it's like a lot of just basically talking through a smile.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then but doing it up here, I have to find it. I was talking in a lower register today for some reason, and I got stuck there. I haven't been able to get back out of it.
Okay.
Watching this from the beginning, so no spoilers. So the voice was weird.
The voice is weird because
the dress was because I don't know what to expect, and I don't know how to help. Yeah, right? I don't know what to expect.
You don't sound feminine enough. It's not an answer.
I got one phrase out in the new training session by accident where we both stopped and went, "Oh, that," and I have no idea how I did it, but it just means I can do it.
Yes.
Right. It's there. It's in me. I need to train myself.
Yeah.
Because more fun science. I've learned so much about like biology and how all this works. When men go through puberty, our vocal folds basically thicken and lengthen, thicken. And that is what causes our voice to drop. Once that happens, that can't be undone. That's permanent. So there are a lot of teenage girls that begin transitioning to male and then go, nope, that wasn't right.
Oh no. Oh no.
So they were on testosterone. They start going
Oh,
through.
no.
They start going through the male puberty.
Yeah.
The vocal folds thicken. Their voice drops.
Uh-huh. And then you're SOL.
Voice is dropped.
Oh, that's terrible.
So what you have to do is you have to retrain your voice. You have to basically kind of force some of that to kind of almost, I'll say atrophy, but that's not quite right.
Mhm.
You have to train your voice back up. And then the other weird things is that men and women have different speaking dialects, essentially. How we say our vowels is different.
Mhm.
How we speak and where we speak from is different.
Mhm.
And so I have to not just...
I think I was more surprised with the consonants than I was the vowels.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. It was interesting to me to realize that it's not frequency. It's not necessarily speaking up here. It's not speaking higher that does it.
Right.
It's speaking with the proper dialect,
Yeah.
essentially, that will make...
Yeah, like Scarlett Johansson has a relatively deep voice,
Mhm.
but it's still very distinctly feminine. It's
Mhm.
very distinctly, like whenever you hear her speak, you're not like, who's that dude?
Mhm.
Like,
There are surgeries they can do to your vocal folds that, like, I think they like sew some of, they shorten them a little bit.
yeah.
But I'm not sure that those will be required. Like, I don't want to do any surgeries I don't have to do, right? I'm not. I really want to fewest surgeries possible. So, so voice was weird. Dress was kind of weird.
I think
haven't
watching
worn-
you walk in heels or wedges was also, it wasn't weird as much as it was funny.
Have I gotten better at that?
Yeah.
Am I where I need
Your
to be?
walk in general is better.
Mm.
Your Ben walk was always kind of
Clompy?
weird. Yeah. No, it wasn't clompy.
Stick up assy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little.
Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
different now.
Is it where it needs to be, do you think? I think I need more practice.
No, I think you need more practice, but like it's a lot better than it was.
I think I do better in the wedges because it forces me to, like, I feel it.
Yeah.
Like it forces you up and I'm like, ah.
Oh yeah, my shoes today changed my posture.
Yeah?
Yeah, so now my back hurts.
Oh. She's trying new shoes. She's got new docks. And yeah, so it broke her feet and it broke her back apparently. I'm
It's okay.
sorry. Because
It's okay.
you work on your feet all day long.
Yep, sure do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so new shoes are hard sometimes. It's okay.
Yeah, Jim Meek says it's super interesting. You didn't realize there was a female dialect. Neither did I. Like, things I have to do are move my tongue forward. Also forward. That that's not a sound that women make.
Forward.
Forward. You
Right.
skip the D.
Nuh-uh, it's there.
It's barely there.
It's there.
Yeah.
I learned that apparently while women articulate their consonants, just generally speaking, particularly at the end of a word, just kind of don't exist.
Yeah. So you said.
Which I didn't think anything of.
Yeah. So you said word.
Word.
Yeah. Word.
Yeah, at the end of the word.
Word.
Yeah, at the end of the word.
Word.
We're saying the same thing.
I know. Isn't that amazing? So like I'm making slow progress in voice training simply because, like, I get blown away by all of these things. I'm like, no.
Don't do that.
Yeah, can't do that. And then, like, I have to. So I'm doing pretty good. So for the men watching or males watching that have gone through puberty,
Yes.
if you put your hand, like, right here, I have to let my voice back down, and you start talking, you'll be able to really feel it. This is my. I have been talking higher, actually. Yeah, it takes a hot minute because now this no longer feels natural. That's weird. I guess that's good.
That's good.
Um,
You're so cute. This note doesn't feel natural anymore. I guess that's good.
so this was Ben's voice, right? I mean, again, I'm pushing my tongue forward now because that's what I do now.
Right.
It's hard to not. But okay, so if you do this, you put your hand here, you can feel your chest vibrate. That is not something that happens to women.
That's basically Ben's voice, but yes. It's not quite right.
Is it too low?
Soup?
There are only 10 people watching, and they're loving every minute of this. We are entertaining. Shut up.
Was it too low?
Am I
No, it's not
am
too
I
low. No. No, but it's just I don't know what it is about it exactly, but it's not quite right. Anyway, so men speak from this register is what she's trying to say. Women have a tendency to speak out here. We
Yep.
project outwardly.
Mhm.
So if you
that
were
was
to-
the very first thing I had to do was it took a hot minute to figure out how to like retrain everything.
yeah, which
Yeah.
I didn't think anything of until I put my hand on my chest and I was like, I mean, I am making some sort of vibration because you can't not, but it's not the same. Like as soon as you said, "Oh, women speak out here," I was like, "Well, yeah." How else am I supposed to get heard?
Jim Meeker brings up a good point, which is
Yes.
singers talk about chest voice, head voice, and mixed. So it
Yes.
makes sense.
Yes.
Women generally speak in head voice.
Yes.
And then what's also interesting is I've kind of found how, so even this lower register, which is not where this is not my target register.
Right.
Although it is interesting to see that this is where I speak now.
Yeah.
So, and I need to now soup. That's a whole other story.
That's a different thing. Sorry. I'm sorry. Bringing it up.
So now I am like right about here. So I'm speaking correctly, but I've actually like I can lift it up even higher. Like you can kind of lift it and move it around,
Mhm.
which was it. Like I didn't do choir, so
Yeah,
that is not a thing that I was used to. And
Yeah.
like feeling how like using a straw to feel how that airflow changes.
Yep.
It took a hot minute. So yeah. That was oh my hair.
Stop.
Is there a
It's
moment?
fine.
It feels bad. Like I don't like the way it feels.
Okay.
Um,
It looks fine.
I'm sure it looks fine, but like then it's draping funny.
Okay. Just stop touching it.
Not gonna.
Don't do that either. Thanks.
So yeah.
No, I don't think any of it is really like weird. It's just different.
Mm.
Right? Like I don't know, it's just different.
Yeah.
But like it's fine.
Is there a favorite? So we talked about things that you weren't like getting used to me in it. To be fair, I don't wear a dress very often. Like they're test pieces. Like it's kind of like it's more like
you haven't gone out.
it's progress markers along the way to see how it's working, and then I kind of look and I
Well,
go,
also, like-
not yet. This isn't right.
That Sash, like everyone's body shape is different.
Mhm.
And women's fashion, a skirt isn't
Oh my
just a
God.
skirt. Like
It's so
the
complicated.
circle skirt and the A-line skirt and the pleated skirt and the ballerina, like there's all these different kinds. The pencil skirt, like they're all different silhouettes and they all do different things to your body. And some of them will look better on some bodies and others will look better on other bodies.
Mhm.
And so never having dressed this body
Mhm.
in a feminine way,
Mhm.
you do need to like test some of that out. You
Yep.
need to figure out.
Well, that was the idea.
Yeah.
See how
Yeah.
I never realized. So in men's clothing, you've got it's almost always two pieces,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And then you just kind of you've got fairly.
Stop making that noise.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
It just hurts.
I know.
It's just simple, right? Your pants have a waist and a length,
Yeah.
and then your shirt usually it will either have like a collar and sleeve size,
Yeah.
or it'll just be like small, medium, large,
Right.
and you're done. They cut you how they cut you. That's about it.
Well, and usually relatively boxy.
Yeah, boxy, and so there isn't because it's boxy.
There isn't shape.
There
Because
isn't shape. It
most
doesn't need to
men
be
don't
shaped.
have boobs.
Right.
I want to tell you.
How was that when they like because they started coming in?
The boobs?
Yeah. Was that weird? Or were you like, because like I grew up male, and so I have no qualms being topless.
No, yeah, that's the weird part for me.
Yeah.
That's weird to me.
So I just walk around topless.
yeah, and
but
I'm like,
like
you can't just do that
girls are hanging out. And I'm like, why not?
because
My
you can't,
house?
You can't.
My house?
You can't just do that. You
My
can't
house?
You can't just do that.
Yeah, I can.
No,
Well, I'm gonna.
I see more of your nipples as Jamie than I ever did with Ben.
I'm not sure that's entirely
Yes,
true.
it is.
Mm.
It is. It's true.
Yeah, so clothing is difficult because it's all boxy for men, and a box is really simple.
Right.
And women is not all boxy.
Right.
And so you have to like figure out where it hits you.
Yeah.
And then where that shape occurs where that hits you.
Mhm.
And then all of the sizes are different for different. It is so complicated. I'm
Mhm.
lucky because I have a pretty decent height. I'm not quite too high. Like I'm at the high end.
Yeah.
I'm within, like, I'm as high as you would want to be.
Yeah, you're like what, 5'9", 5'10"?
Yeah, about 5'10", just under 5'10", and so that's a pretty
Okay.
good place to be. And then the dresses hit me really well, like through my
Yeah,
midsection.
you have an actual torso, which is nice.
Actually, I found that a lot of women don't seem to.
I don't have a torso.
Like, because I started looking at shapes, I'm like, wow, that seems to be a common recurring. Like,
but the clothing is torsos. But I don't have a torso. So I don't know.
Topless revolution.
No.
I let my nipples point too. No.
No.
Yeah, men do have it pretty simple. I'm not complaining. It wasn't something that I was used to.
Sure.
And so anyhow, point is test pieces. And then I think I've only worn them out like twice, maybe 3 times. Like the first time was when Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, was here. And that was very early in transition.
I remember that time. That's the only time I remember.
I was so uncomfortable. I was happy.
Yeah.
And excited.
Yeah.
And nervous.
Yeah.
And uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you could tell all of those things.
Yeah.
And then and I did not like because like none of this existed at the time.
I can think of 2 times. What's the 3rd time?
I think it may only be 2. So there was the Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut.
Right.
There was Halloween.
Oh yeah, it is 3.
The one where I got all of my profile pictures. What was the other time?
The Cybertruck reveal.
The Cybertruck reveal, of course. I did not. Like, I didn't quite feel like I pulled that one off quite right, but
whatever. It was
getting better. I know. Don't make that noise.
Yeah.
Mm.
What else?
Catherine likes to buy clothes a size or 2 bigger and then tailor it. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
We could start doing that. Getting tailored. So right now I'm going through clothing like candy. So nope.
Yeah, maybe not right now, but
because my body is going through all of the changes. I lost over 50 pounds since I started. I don't know what that is in kilograms. This isn't tomorrow, so I can speak in pounds. Imperial for the win. So over 50 pounds I've lost. This is doing things. And so everything's constantly changing and growing and shifting, and like stuff is moving all around. Like the cheeks are different. The lips are actually, I think, slightly different. Like the upper lip, maybe. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. Maybe it's all the weight loss. Who knows? So I need to find my feminine pain noise. I need to find my feminine voice first. And I think part of my feminine voice will be my feminine pain noise. But right now it's
so terrible.
Which is not feminine.
It's not attractive.
No.
It's just
Do women make noise pains?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, like birth, right? Giving birth.
I make noises when I'm in pain. Actually, more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
I do make noises though. Stop.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm in a tremendous amount of pain, I usually end up going.
Yeah.
I breathe through it as much as I can.
Yeah, that is your
right, because you'll know that I'm in pain because everything is kind of okay, and then it's just.
Yep.
That's usually me in pain. But there are some times when I kind of just, I guess it normally happens at work. Actually, I'll just sort of go.
Oh yeah.
There's a little bit of that.
Well, that could be construed
wow.
as. Just saying.
Wow.
All right. Are we winding down?
Sure.
I mean, we don't have to. So as we're winding down, any final questions from the community? It is fun and a little bit more difficult to do an AMA with a smaller online community, but I feel like we're still like in entertaining. I feel like if we're gonna keep doing these, we probably do them as a couple.
I mean, I'm funny.
We can play off of each other. Yeah, you are.
I know. I'm still cold.
Do you want more blankie?
You just grin and bear it. Yeah, I mean, understood. No, good. Thank you.
I've got.
Okay.
All right, I'm not seeing any additional questions,
Okay.
and I think this is fairly low latency, so there's that. Yeah. Hair is the other one, like hair in my head. Dealing with I've got a very masculine kind of M shape, and women have a U shape, so this has to like come over like more like this.
I can show you mine, but
But
I'm
yeah,
a widow's peak.
yeah, but it's still about the same, right? So you got that kind of like you've got kind of like that going on.
Yeah.
So they're going to take this bit. They're gonna basically cut my. If you're squeamish, stop now. They're gonna cut my scalp here, peel back my face. This brow bone is gonna get shaved down because that's something that men have that women don't. They're gonna smooth out this. So there's not a bump, right? So all of that gets smoothed out. Then when they go to sew it back together, they basically take this bit out and pull the scalp as far forward as they can. I'm doing better with forward. They may not be able to get it all the way, but they'll hopefully be able to get a good chunk of the way to like kind of create that U shape. And then for anything else that they're not able to do, they go into the back, they extract a piece, they extract like a swath of skin about this big with hair on it, pull the individual hair follicles out, and then reinsert them one at a time up over here. So I may need to do both of those. I'm hoping I only need to do one of them, but we'll see. And then they're also going to do a little bit with my cheeks and lifting. Other thing I didn't know, the distance between the bottom of the nose and the top of the lip is longer in men than it is in women. I had no idea. And then he mentioned that. And I started looking and I went, huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And it's all these little itty bitty cues that tip people off, right? Because to me, like, my thing is pronouns are my responsibility, not yours. I gauge how well I'm doing in transition by how many times I get a ma'am or a miss from people out in public, which to be fair is not super often right now, but it's happened a handful of times. And that doesn't count, like you say she and her, but that's because I'm transitioning, so it's different. It's not the same. I can't gauge it based on that.
Right.
So I gauge it based on how strangers who have never met me before address me. And these little itty bitty things paint the big picture of
whether
gender.
You realize it or not.
Yeah, whether you want it to or not, whether you realize it or not, these are things that we're looking at like subconsciously to determine gender really, really quickly, and that's what I'm looking to change, and then like kind of tweak it. The nice thing is I have a really weak chin, right? So I don't need to do anything here, and apparently the moment they need to do chin work, it's a whole big thing. And so everything's going to be kind of like here up, which I guess the healing time for that is really, really fast and really, really easy. So yeah. Catherine has a question.
Yes.
This sounds painful. Yeah, I mean, it's all painful. I'm electrocuting my face for the entire day at a time.
It's painful. It must be painful, I imagine.
Oh, don't worry. So Catherine says sorry if you answered this another AMA or if it's a stupid question. Don't worry about that. No, who cares? Like, we're going to re-answer a bunch of questions, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
Constantly.
Hey, what's that smoke coming off the rocket?
That, exactly.
Oh, that's funny though.
Still waiting for the question, which is why we're sitting here in awkward silence. Should we sit in awkward silence until it comes through? How did coming out affect you in the workplace? If at all. That was fun. I wonder how many people fast forwarded through that. Well, on demand only, I suppose, not live. I think the really cool thing. So at SpaceX, not at all. Like, I'm not treated any differently. Some people have chosen to use different pronouns with me, so they started using she, her. I don't ask anyone to do that, and I'm not going to, I'm cool with it. Like, whatever they want to use, he, him. I don't correct anyone. I don't get agitated. again, it's on me, right? So if they're saying he, him, that means that I just have something that I need to work on. That's all.
Also, like, we both have been there for a number of years, and so people have known Ben for a good number of years. I think it's different of anyone meeting you for the first time,
Mhm.
just generally speaking.
Mhm. Yep. And so, and, you know, a lot of those people, and I didn't really do a whole big like email to everyone. I was just kind of like, as it came up one at a time, because I do interact with a lot of departments, but it's usually the same people in those departments. So as it came up, they like the name change kicked into the systems, and they were really great about the name change, like getting me a new badge, changing the name throughout the system, even before the legal part of it was done. They're like, "You do you, boo."
Yeah.
And security teams have been awesome about it. Every single person I've interacted with has been awesome about it. I did realize one thing though. Ben has interacted with Elon a number of times. Jamie has technically never interacted with Elon because the last time I would have normally interacted with Elon, that didn't happen because of the way the situation was. And so I don't know if Elon actually knows. And I'm changing physically quite a bit. Like, I look like the same person, but I don't. And if you hadn't seen me for like, if you work with thousands of people and there's just kind of one person, like, he remembers people, right?
He does, yes.
He does. But would he remember, like, if I changed so far? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. So, and you said work, but I feel like I need to add tomorrow in there as well.
Sure.
There are a lot of very conservative people who watch the show, and I had extreme concerns with how they were going to take transition. And so I didn't necessarily hide it from the show, but I also didn't really talk about it on the show. And I kind of like removed myself from the show so that you could, well, mostly because like face was all swollen and awful. But I knew I was going to have to say something at some point. And I knew that there were a lot of, like, a very large number of conservative viewers, but I also knew that our viewers were good people. So I legitimately didn't know how this was going to go because stuff like this, and then like religion and like conservative views kind of tend to butt heads. And I legitimately just didn't know. And I was concerned. And it went fairly well. Like, we had a few issues, a handful, we'll call it like 20, maybe 30 people, but that was it in a community of like 60,000. That's not bad. Like,
pretty good.
So, I mean, it sucks that there are those 20 or 30 people, but that was about it. So, yeah. Smoke Scale says, dig the clock in the background, very mid-century modern. That's kind of our aesthetic. There's not a whole lot to show you here.
No,
it's kind of our shtick. So, by the way, that's not to say that I think that all conservatives would hate this or what, but like, there's kind of a less willingness to accept stuff like this. Like, it's taken them a lot longer to get on board with a lot of these things. And they're not on board. And so I just, again, not saying anyone was bad or anything, just like, I was not sure what was going to happen. So I was really, really concerned there. Community's generally been good. Actually, I would say the best thing about the community is most people DJAF.
Oh, sure.
I couldn't ask for a better outcome, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly how this should be. It should not be about my transition. It should be like, okay, cool. You're doing your own thing. Let's talk about space. And that's what it is. For almost everyone, I love that. That is so cool. That is exactly how it should be. Let me be awkward for a little while. Switch over. Who cares? Doesn't impact you, right? I mean, it's interesting and neat, which is why we're starting this, so we can talk about these things. Electrocuting in my face. But like, yeah.
Yeah.
Catherine says it's because we love you both always and forever, no matter what.
Aw,
Aw.
Thank you.
Jim Meager says, I remember when you came back to the show, I thought you were Ben's younger sister. I appreciate that. You probably thought Ben's younger brother at the time, I would argue. Like, I mean, maybe, but like, voice is wrong. I'm being honest. Like, I'm not going to pretend like it's not. Voice is wrong. Like, the facial features are still wrong. You can tell. You can still tell. I don't pretend like you can't. But I'm working on it. Like, things are starting to, like, you can. I think the most interesting thing is that you can see these changes happening,
Mhm.
and like you can see, like, you can just see it slowly happening. I got another year or two, maybe 3, but like, and then I think by the end of 2020, this year, I think by the end of this year,
2020. 2020.
2020,
Yep.
better.
Yeah.
Okay.
2020.
2020.
Yeah.
Okay, I can feel the difference.
Sorry.
No,
You said that, and I was like, that was,
Yeah, I heard it too,
Yeah.
and that's why I actually kind of stopped.
yeah,
Um,
2020.
I think it's going to be. I think this is going to be like the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021, like the first 6 months there. I think that's going to be the largest transformational change in my physical appearance. And then by the end of 2021, that's when I'm going to do, hopefully, do GRS, gender reassignment surgery. We'll see. I'm reading. I'm sorry. I'm reading comments.
You are. I can't read them all from here.
Zeke says, I like space, but I also think Jamie is great to hang out with. So that's why I'm here. That's awesome. And that's kind of why we have a separate channel. Again, I just, people want to geek out over space. We should let them geek out over space.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, we should probably bed soon.
Yes.
And I really do appreciate the support. And again, I think both of us find this stuff really, really interesting.
Mhm.
Like the different type of electrolysis and like all the facial feminization stuff and like how you determine gender and like the voice stuff and what happens during puberty and what you can undo and what you can do. You know what? The other really interesting thing that I didn't know, we are made up of the same bits and same parts.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So when they're doing gender reassignment surgery, they're using all of the same material and they're just putting that material where it would be in a cisgendered woman.
Mhm.
So basically it's the same.
Mhm.
It's missing a few baby making parts,
Mhm.
but the external bits, that's the same fundamentally, which I would like the type of skin, like they can move the nerves around. It's like, other than ability to make a baby, which even then they can do womb I'm not doing that, but they can do womb transplants. They have not done that for transgender women right now because it is extremely dangerous. It's really for women who are trying to have children and can't, or there are other weird complications. But eventually they may be able to do that. There is a path forward with science where a transgender woman can actually give birth.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I think in my lifetime.
That's really cool.
Right? How amazing is that going to be? Someday we'll wrap it up here, but I think someday if I can figure out how to describe the feeling of being in the wrong body, in the wrong gender,
Mhm.
I would love to be able to convey that because anyhow. Catherine says, this is so helpful for us watching you progress as well. You're helping educate so many people about the process and what a person goes through. Yeah. And hopefully my optimistic view and complete and total transparency is really helpful. And understand I am really transparent on all of this. I think I'm not going to say anything that's going to put my safety at risk, but like, if you have questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. Like, I'm not really embarrassed about anything that, like, I'm past that point. So whatever you ever want to know, feel free to ask. Not tonight. I think we're wrapping up for tonight. It was a lot of fun hanging out with everyone. We want to do another one of these like in a month.
Sure.
Do like, what do you guys think? Once per month, maybe?
Sure.
So we'll do the next one sometime in April. Or if I get when I get quarantined for corona, what is it?
Yeah.
COVID-19.
COVID-19.
Once we're in quarantine, we'll
COVID-19.
be in a constant live stream or something like that. One thing that would help if you do enjoy this and you know other people that would enjoy it, if we can get more subscribers, I'm hoping to get up to 1,000 subscribers so I can actually use my real broadcasting tool, so I can use a better camera. However, this works. This is a MacBook sitting on Peloton resistance bands box.
I was wondering what that was doing on the table.
Yep.
Got it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you next month. I'll get videos in the meantime, too.
Yeah.